UFC 326 is this weekend. The man with the most significant strikes landed in UFC history, Max Blessed Holloway, will look to defend his BMF title for the second time against Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the most prolific finisher that we've ever seen step inside the octagon. It's safe to say that this fight will not be going the distance. This is my official breakdown for the UFC 326 main event. Now, we're going to start off by breaking down the challenger, Charles Oliveira, because Charles Oliveira has that fighting style of almost all gas, no brakes. He likes to start off quick, and he's always hunting for the finish. From the very start, he wants a quick paycheck, in and out of there, get the job done. Now, in a BMF title fight, I tell you what, it's a dangerous game to play, but it's certainly the game you want to play. High risk, high reward, because Oliveira, even if he doesn't fight that way, that is the way the fight will go. It will be an exciting fight, meaning if you're looking for the finish, you're already one step ahead of your opponent. Now, for Charles Oliveira, many people may say he won't be able to maintain this aggressive style of fighting that he has because he's up against someone like Max Holloway, who also isn't going to waver from their own style of fighting. But if Ilia Topuria himself wasn't able to stop Charles Oliveira from walking forward, I don't think anybody is. Oliveira will continuously hunt you down and look for the finish, whether you're the most dangerous counter striker in the world or whether you're the biggest power puncher in the sport. Oliveira will walk you down either way. Now, as we touched on before, Oliveira is the most prolific finisher in the sport. He has the most wins by a finish in UFC history, with 17 of those finishes coming via submission. We all know the submission threat and grappling threat that this guy has. And when you combine that with his striking, it's a deadly combination. Charles Oliveira is going to use that to his advantage because on the feet, Max Holloway will not be wanting to take strikes. Ever since the two of these guys fought Ilia Topuria, they have now got compromised chins, which means neither of them are going to want to get clipped on the feet. So for Oliveira, he's going to want to throw with a lot of fire because the more he throws, the more that thought is going to come into Max Holloway's head of, oh, okay, he could land here, so I got to be careful. And the more you're thinking about the strikes, whether it's to the body, whether it's to the head, the less you start to think about the takedown. And Charles Oliveira, the second he takes down Max Holloway, he will be looking for a submission. But if we flip the script and have a look at Max Holloway, he knows exactly where to be and where to stay safe inside of that octagon. Max Holloway has only ever received 2 submission attempts in his entire career inside of the UFC. Dustin Poirier in their first fight and Dustin Poirier in their last fight. So Max Holloway knows how to stay away from a submission threat. However, in saying that, Max Holloway has never fought anyone with the caliber of grappling that Charles Oliveira has. Brian Ortega is a great grappler, but he does not have the same fight style as Charles Oliveira. So for Max Holloway, he will certainly want to keep this fight on the feet. Similarly to his fight against Ilia Topuria, as I was saying before, the strikes on the feet is really what causes you to getting taken down. And Ilia Topuria was able to take Max Holloway down, something that not many of us thought would happen. But it was because of that threat on the feet. Now, Charles Oliveira possesses that similar threat to Ilia Topuria, maybe not in the nature of power or technique, but in the sense that he will come after you right from the get-go. So Max Holloway will need to throw caution to the wind. He'll need to be careful of a takedown as well as the strikes. A massive factor in grappling is size and strength, and it's safe to say that Charles Oliveira has got the advantage. Now, although it's been years in the making, Max Holloway moving up to lightweight, he is still fairly new to the division. Charles Oliveira has been in and around lightweight for a very long time now, and it's safe to say he's a big lightweight as well. I do think he's going to have the strength advantage in this fight, and when you're grappling, that is a massive advantage to have. When we move back over to the striking and the very aggressive nature that Charles Oliveira has, it's either going to work in his favor or it's going to get him knocked out. Because when you're fighting someone like Max Holloway, who is such a good counter striker, being aggressive could either be your best friend or it could be your worst nightmare. Max Holloway has caught many fighters in the past, but I think the one telling difference about this fight is that Charles Oliveira doesn't lose to volume strikers like Max Holloway. He loses to power punches, the likes of Ilia Topuria, the first guy to put him out cold, the first guy who was able to put Max Holloway out cold. So I think in this fight, the fact that Max is a volume striker actually doesn't help him. He may have the most significant strikes landed in UFC history, but even if he keeps on tapping away at Charles Oliveira, Oliveira will keep coming back until he finishes the fight. We all know just how calculated Max Holloway is inside of the octagon. Alexander Volkanovski has shared 75 minutes with the guy and talks about just how much of a strategist he really is. For Max Holloway, although he doesn't put himself in dangerous situations, Against Charles Oliveira, I have thought of an opening that could occur in this fight. Now, Max Holloway likes to circle when he steers away from danger, but Charles Oliveira, when you look at his game plan, he's always looking for a check hook. And I think in this fight, that could be a massive strike that Charles Oliveira could land that could finish the fight quite early as well. If Max Holloway isn't careful and doesn't change the way he exits the pocket, I think Charles Oliveira could catch him with a check hook. However, in talking about calculations and being such a calculated fighter like Max Holloway, it can definitely help him by trying to cool down the situation. Now, Max Holloway is known for having that mentality of never being able to quit. He got schooled by Alexander Volkanovski and still came back and managed to find a way to becoming the BMF champion. I mean, if that doesn't say BMF, I don't know what else does. So although he is so calculated, so tough, so durable, Max Holloway will still push the pace. He was pushing the pace against Ilia Topuria as well. And Max is the kind of fighter who will try and beat you on points. He's not going to try and knock you out from the get-go like Charles Oliveira. He's going to slowly chop you down like a tree, and eventually when it comes to the end of the fight, he'll pick his moments, he'll point to the ground, and then he'll go for the finish. He'll slowly make those reads and adjust his game plan in accordance to the way that you are fighting. And I think for Max Holloway, that is such an important factor. For example, his fight against Justin Gaethje. That spinning back kick was what won him the fight. It was kind of spare of the moment. He doesn't throw that strike all the time. And he saw an opening against Justin Gaethje because of the way that he was leaning down. He broke his nose and won the fight. So I think as you start to analyze this fight, for me, it's quite simple. Max Holloway wants this fight to go 5 rounds. Charles Oliveira wants this done quickly. Now, they both are looking for a bonus, and although Max Holloway looks to get to the 5th round, it doesn't mean he's a decision merchant or a boring fighter. Max Holloway is one of the most entertaining fighters we've ever seen in the sport, but Charles Oliveira is more entertaining. Now, you see, for Charles Oliveira, he used to be a fighter that had that reputation of being a quitter. You know, he got dropped in pretty much all of his fights, and I do think he will get dropped in this fight, but the thing is, Charles Oliveira overcomes adversity. It's something that he's worked on. His resurgence in his career all started with that mentality shift. He now overcomes adversity, and that's a massive mentality switch that could get him to win this fight. If Charles Oliveira gets knocked down in this fight, I back him 100% to come back, and to come back even stronger than he was in the first round or in the first few moments of the fight. I think Charles Oliveira is going to get this one done, and I think he's going to submit Max Holloway in the first or the second round. Now, without any sort of bias, there is a chance, and a very high chance, that Max Holloway wins this one. Oliveira's chin is still compromised, and Holloway will definitely land throughout this fight. So for me, it's between two things. Oliveira submission in the first 2 rounds, or Holloway a late knockout in round 4 or 5. Either way, drop your comments down below, like, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I've been waiting for this fight for so long. Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway 2 for the BMF title.